Before we get too far in the journey, we have to give you a brief safety announcement. It's not to alarm you, it's just something we have to do. The boat you're travelling on is licensed for 220 passengers. And we carry a full complement of life-saving equipment for that number. And we also have inflatable life. We have life jackets and inflatable life rafts. We're in communication with the emergency services at all times. And in the unlikely event of a problem, please take your instructions from a member of the crew. Now, how many of you would like me to point out some of the places of interest on our way up to Westminster? Well, I'll do my best. We're not professional guides on these boats, we're just members of the crew. But obviously on our left-hand side, we have the Tower of London. Started in 1078 by William the Conqueror. It's been added to by reigning monarchs ever since, and it's been used for all sorts of things. A royal palace, a prison, a fortress, a place of torture and a place of execution. Now it's a museum and home to the crown jewels. Now you see that sign on the wall just on the left. Entry to the Traitors' Gate. London's first one-way street. You'd have been taken up through there, found guilty in the Palace of Westminster of being a traitor. If you were lucky, you were taken up through there and executed on Tower Green. If you were unlucky, you were taken up through there, tortured first, and then executed. The bridge on our left, of course, the gateway to London, Tower Bridge. Those bascules that could be raised to allow larger ships into the upper pool weigh 1,100 tons each and could be lifted in about 45 seconds.
Yeah, 1 minute and
The only time the bridge ever failed was at its own grand opening ceremony in 1894. Dead ahead of us, that dome-shaped building, that's the headquarters of the Mayor of London, Boris Johnson. It's the London Assembly. Now over on the left-hand side, HMS Belfast. She was the largest cruiser ever built for the Royal Navy at 11,500 tons. She's classed as a 6-inch cruiser, and that's because she has 6-inch guns and 6 inches of armour. Those guns are capable of firing a 140-pound shell some 14 or 15 miles. Served right through the Second World War, and the last time she fired those guns in anger was in 1953 at the Korean campaign, where she was flagship for the NATO forces. On the right, behind the blue railings, is Customs House, the headquarters of Customs and Excise in this country. It is where they take any confiscated goods they take from you. At a port of entry, it's either destroyed or sold at public auction. On the left-hand side, a collection of buildings from here right up to the bridge is known as Hayes Galleria. That's all owned by the Kuwait royal family. Very expensive shops, apartments, offices. Even got its own private hospital, London Bridge Hospital. On the right, Billingsgate Fish Market. The market itself moved out of that building some years ago, but it's still alive and well, and the building itself is just used as offices now. Now the next bridge is London Bridge. It's the 4th bridge to stand on that site since Roman times. The first one fell down, hence the nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down. The second one burned down. The third one was taken down stone by stone and sold for £1 million. It's been erected in the Arizona desert where it's complete with London buses as a tourist attraction. And this particular bridge was opened by Her Majesty the Queen in 1973. Now once we're through the bridge, over on the left, maybe of some interest to any Americans, behind the trees, Southwark Cathedral. Southwark's claim to fame is a young man was baptised in Southwark, and his name was John Harvard. John later emigrated to America, made his fortune, and when he died, he left his fortune to found the Harvard University in Massachusetts. The sailing ship in the dock on the left, that's a replica of Drake's Golden Hind. The original ship was the first English ship to circumnavigate the world. That replica has now sailed around the world on 2 separate occasions. The bridge in front of us is Cannon Street Railway Bridge, leading to Cannon Street Station over there on the right-hand side. Now once we're up through Cannon Street, you'll see the next bridge is Southwark Road, which is one of the least used bridges to span the River Thames. It's very little used, it has very little traffic, and it's also the narrowest road bridge, and it's always been unpopular for whatever reason with Londoners, ever since it was opened new in 1819. It was a toll bridge, and therefore Londoners just would not cross it. They would sooner walk down to London Bridge and cross there. Now once we're up through Southwark, if you look to your left-hand side, you'll see a white wooden framed building with a thatched roof. That's a replica of Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. It was the dream of an American film director and producer to build that building. He devoted most of his life to its cause. And his name was Sam Wanamaker. Sadly, Sam died before it was finished, but his daughter Zoe completed the project and dedicated that building to her father. The old power station over on the left was Bankside Power Station, and that closed down some years ago, and it's now the Tate Modern Art Gallery. The bridge in front of us is the Millennium Footbridge, known as the Wobbly Bridge. It wobbled so badly when it was opened that people were falling over and actually quite injuring themselves quite badly, so they had to close it down. And it took a further 2 years and almost £20 million to correct the problem. Now if you look to the right, dominating the skyline is the great dome of St Paul's Cathedral, Sir Christopher Wren's masterpiece. It took 35 years to build it and was started in 1666 after the Great Fire of London. They always say St Paul's rose from the ashes of the Great Fire. The dome is the largest cathedral dome, second largest cathedral dome in the world, and it's 365 feet to the top of that golden cross. Now, the bridge in front of us is Blackfriars Railway Bridge, leading to, well, it used to lead to Blackfriars Station. They knocked the station down, actually. The station's temporarily on the bridge. And as you can see, there's a major refurbishment and alteration going on here. The next bridge was the old Queen Alexandra Railway Bridge. They took the top of it years ago now because it became unsafe, but they've left the uprights because they felt that River Thames would undermine the adjacent bridges if they took them down. The third bridge is Blackfriars Road Bridge, opened by Queen Victoria herself in 1869. Now once we're through this bridge, the second building on the right with a very steeply pointed roof is the old City of London School for Boys. Those sculptures up by the top of the window, starting at the one furthest away from us, is Milton, Bacon, Sir Isaac Newton and David Beckham. That's the one with the ball. No, it's not really, it's William Shakespeare. The red brick building is the Sion College and Library for the Anglican clergymen. The library is said to contain over 100,000 of some of the most valuable books and parchments in the world. Over on the left, the red brick building with the Oxo Tower was at one time just a factory where the Oxo cubes were made. It's now mostly luxury apartment, shops, and on the roof the Harvey Nichols rooftop restaurant. The black ship on the right is the President now permanently open there as a conference and banqueting facility. Now behind the trees we have Temple Gardens, and around Temple Gardens the buildings are known as the Inns of Court. It's where top people in the legal profession have their chambers, as they call them. Now the stone arch on the river wall, that's Temple Arch. It marks the divide between two cities, the City of London, one of the smallest cities in the world, and the City of Westminster, which you're about to enter. The white ship on the right, that's the Wellington. She was a Second World War Royal Naval sloop, now permanently moored, as the livery horse of the Honourable Company of Master Mariners. Prince Philip is their president, and Prince Charles is a member of that organisation, because they are both Master Mariners in their own right. The second white vessel, the smaller one, that's the St Catherine, and she was the royal barge on the River Thames at one time, and now permanently moored over there as a floating nightclub and resi. Over on the left, the building with the illuminated sign is the National Theatre, voted by some leading architects as one of the ugliest buildings to stand alongside the theatres. Now the bridge in front of us is Waterloo Road Bridge. This is known as the Ladies' Bridge. That's because ladies built this bridge. It was built during the course of the Second World War and opened in 1945. The men were away fighting for king and country, so the ladies built the bridge. It's built from reinforced concrete, and it's faced with a particularly expensive and difficult to work Portland stone. Now, once we're underneath this bridge, if you look to the right-hand side, the second building on the right, that's the back of the Savoy Hotel. That's just had a £198 million refurbishment. Next door with a big clock face is Shell House. It used to be the headquarters of the Shell Oil Company, and the clock itself is the largest clock face in the London area. On the river wall you see that stone column. That's Cleopatra's Needle. It was given to the people of this country by the Viceroy of Egypt to commemorate Nelson's victory over Napoleon at the Battle of the Nile. On the left we have the Royal Festival Hall, the only remaining building from the Festival of Britain of 1951. Ahead of us, Charing Cross Railway Bridge, flanked on either side by the two 100-foot bridges. This is a unique spot on the river because you're going to go underneath a railway and over one at the same time. The Bakerloo line of the underground system runs beneath the river at this spot. Now once we're through the bridge, if you look to the left hand side you'll see the London Eye. Some of you might be going on there later. And it's 135 metres tall, 32 capsules, although there's one missing at the moment. If you look, you'll see a tug pushing a barge with the capsule on. It fell off last night and they've had to chase down the river with that tug to collect it. No, it didn't fall off. They'll take them off one at a time for servicing. That one's obviously been away for service. It's just come back and they'll put that on tonight and they'll take another one off for servicing. You can actually get married on the London Eye. In you go, you hire the capsule of course, in you go with a registrar, you're intended a few bottles of champagne, perhaps a couple of maids. When you get to the top they announce that you're man and wife. You open the champagne and it's downhill from then onwards. Ahead of us we have Westminster Road Bridge. The only bridge to span the River Thames with as many as 7 arches. How many of you can see Big Ben? Hands up if you can see Big Ben, yeah? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you all, but I don't think any of you can see Big Ben. What you can see is the St Stephen's Clock Tower. You can see the great clock of Westminster, and above the clock face, in the belfry, inside the clock tower, is Big Ben. Big Ben is a bell, weighs 13.5 tons and strikes the hour. He's not lonely up there. There are 4 smaller bells, and they are the Westminster chimes.
بيج بن مش الساعة.
ماله؟
البيج بن هو الجرس اللي جواها. اسمه بيج بن، وزنه 1000، وزنه طن ونص ولا مش عارف ايه.
The building is Big Ben was named after Sir Benjamin Hall, who was clerk of the works at the time of completion of the Palace of Westminster.
دي اخت ام عبد الله، هي جت تحت بيج بن عيد هي تحت بيج بن على طول، شايفها تحت جرس بيج بن، مش الساعة عشان الساعة مش يقدر بيج
المبنى
بن.
اللي جنبها بقى ده
اسمه ويستمنستر بالاس. ويستمنستر بالاس.
The Palace of Westminster over there on the right, commonly known as the Houses of Parliament, seat of government. The square tower at the other end is the Victoria Tower, and it's where we store our ballot papers for 1 year and a day after a general election. You see the 2 marquees on the terrace? The one at this end, green, colour-coded with the bridge behind us, green. It's where the House of Commons entertain on the terrace, and they work on green seats. The one at the other end, red, colour-coded with the bridge ahead of us, red. It's where the House of Lords entertain on the terrace, and they sleep on red seats.
Why red seats?
Now, if you look very close, if you look at the green marquee, look to the very top of it, and below the great windows, you'll see as we go round and we get a bit closer, you'll see an inscription on the building. It runs right round the whole of the Palace of Westminster, and it's the Lord's Prayer in Latin. It was put there to ward off evil spirits, apparently. So I'll leave that to your own imagination as to whether it worked. Now we're going to go alongside Westminster Pier any moment now for you all to leave us. I'm afraid you have to leave us here. This boat...
It's gonna sink here.